Okay, everybody. So now we're on page 103 and it's Wednesday. And we're looking at trying to calculate percentages. So trying to work out what percent something is of something else. Okay, so if you just look up at the top question, this is just getting you kind of understanding, what is an equivalent percentage and fraction. So if you're looking here, it says, that's the less than sign, that's the greater than sign, and the equal to sign. Okay, so I've got 40% here. Excuse me, my wire is in the way. So I've got 40%. I've got a little circle there, and I've got 4/10. Now the important thing is to work out what those both are in the same thing. So we'll go always with percentages. So 40% over here. So 4/10 in a percentage is really multiply by 10 gives you 100. So multiply by 10 gives you 40. So the answer over here is 40/100, which is what in percent, as we've already learned, is 40%. So what sign would we put in the middle there? We would actually put equal sign. 40% is equal to 4/10. We have to do a little bit of the maths over here, but we worked it out that 40% is equal to 40% over here. All right. Now, be kind of the same. All right. You're looking at 2/20. So let's have a look at that. 2/20. A big circle and then 2%. Okay, so the thing is, we have our percentage 2% there, but we don't know whether it's equal to, greater than, or less than 2/20. So the best thing to do is work out what 2/20 is as a percentage. So 2/20. All right, what do we multiply that to get to 100? We always have to get this number to 100 to get a percentage. So multiply by something equals 100. So 20 multiplied by 5 equals 100. All right. Now what we need to do is, if we do it to the bottom, we need to do it to the top. So 2 multiplied by 5 equals 10. So now that we've turned it into 100th, we know that the percentage is 10%. Now, if we go back over here, get rid of this and write 10%, it's easier to work out which sign we use. So this 10% is greater than 2%, isn't it? So 10% is greater than 2%. Now, I'm going to leave you work away on number 1 there for a bit and see how you get on. Always try and change it to a percentage, and that will give you a hand. Okay, if you're ready to move on to question 2, this is more about solving problems using percentages, okay? So 6 free takers scored the following percentage with their kick. What fraction did they miss? Okay, so here we go. So it's trying to catch you out there, because it's saying what fraction did they miss, not what fraction did they score, what fraction did they miss. So let's look at Jack in A. Jack scored 90%. All right. So he missed how much? 10%, exactly, because it's 100% is always the amount. So we're going to find the fraction that is 10%. So remember that always. And you're not being asked about the free score or the kicks. You're being asked about what they missed. So he missed 10%, okay? Or he missed 10%. So 10% is 10 out of 100. Now, that's a nice big fraction. You can write that down, 10 out of 100, but you can also make it into a smaller fraction. Now, simplify it, okay? So to get to 100 before, we used to multiply. So to make it smaller, we're going to divide, okay? So 100 divided by something, and you have to make sure that they divide into both numbers. So let's look. It's very obvious there's a number here that divides into both, and that is 10. So 100 divided by 10 equals 10. What we do to the bottom, we must also do to the top. So 10 divided by 10 equals 1. So your actual fraction is 1/10. So he missed 1/10 of them. All right. I'll have another quick look at the next one, just to give you an idea. B. So So we've Linda. Linda scored 80%. So what fraction did she miss? Right, she missed 20% of her kicks. So now we know that 20% is 20 out of 100, and we want to simplify it, make it easier. So before, if we wanted to get to 100, we usually multiply, but if we want to make it simpler, we divide. Okay, so we're going to divide by whatever number goes into the top and also goes into the bottom. All right, so let's see, it's actually, usually it can be the smallest number on top, so 20. So 100 divided by 20 equals 5. 20 divided by 20 equals 1. So she missed 1/5 of her shots. And that's how you do that question. Have a go of it. See how you get on. You can always talk to me when I'm talking to you on Zoom. But, you know, and ask me any questions about it. But that's how you do question 2. Now, this one is an interesting one. This is looking at matching up equivalent fractions and percentages. This is a little bit harder, guys. And in order to do this, you need to work it out. Okay, so we're going to look at the first 2 or 3. I'm going to give you a hand. Sorry about the wire. Okay, so here we go. We have 100% here, right? Now, 100% is like the full ice cream, the full chocolate bar. It's the whole lot. There's no part of it. So we have to start looking down here. All of the bottom line, we have to match 100% with one of these. But which one is it? Each one of these looks like a fraction of an amount. 9 parts out of 100, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 2. Haha, look at this part. It says 2 out of 2. So that's the full amount. If it said 4 out of 4, it would still be the full amount. It's equal to 1 unit. So guys, when you're doing this, obviously you have to do it into your copy. I'm going to do it here. That's actually the answer. It's 2 out of 2. It's the full amount. 100% is 2 out of 2. Let's look at 15%. Now we need to work that out a little bit. So 15%. Let's see what that would be as a fraction. So 15% is 15 out of 100. Okay, so 15 out of 100. How are we going to make that work? We're going to have to simplify it to try and work this one out. So what goes into 15 and what goes into 100? 5 goes into 15, 5 goes into 100. So let's divide that out. So here we have 5 and 5. 100 divided by 5 equals 20. 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So our equivalent fraction to 15% would be 3 over 20. Let's see if that is here at all. 3, oh, here it is, 3 over 20. So this one actually joins to this one here. All right. Obviously, don't draw this into your copy, into your books, guys. Do it into your copies. Okay. So the next one, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to help you with the next one as well. 2%. Okay, 2%. What is that going to be? Let's have a look. Any ideas? It's hard to work out. Okay. So we're going to work it out over here. Okay. So here is our 2%. So again, we know that percent, the thing we know is percent means 2 out of 100. And we have to simplify that. So we're going to have to divide that by something. All right. So let's have a look. Let's think what goes into 2 and what goes into 100. Well, we don't have a lot of choice here. Something just goes into 2. 2 can go into 2. So let's do that. And what we do to the top, we must also do to the bottom. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 equals 1. That's the top part of our fraction. 100 divided by 2 equals 50. So we've worked out that 2% is actually 1/50th. I wonder, is that anywhere to be found here? Haha, here we go. It is. So there's a little bit to work out in that one, guys. But once you do, you can join them up easily enough. Okay, so give that a go. All right, I'm going to move on to question 4 now. Question 4 is add the following fractions and write the answers as percentages. Now we're talking about adding fractions. Okay, I'm going to write it over here. So the first one is 1/10 and 3/100. Okay, 1/10 plus 3/100. The important thing with adding any fractions is that you make them from the same family first before you add them together, okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to turn it all into hundredths, okay? It'd be the easiest thing. So 1/10 into 100 multiplied by something brings us to 100. Okay, I'm just doing the sum up here. So here we go. Multiply by 10 gives you 100. 1 multiplied by 10 equals 10. So really what we could write down here is 10 over 100 plus 3 over 100. So 10 over 100 plus 3 over 100 is actually 13 over 100. It's very easy to add them when they have the same, they're from the same family of fractions. Okay, I'm going to try and move on because we've a lot to cover on this page. Right, next one we're going to look at write the percentages as tenths and hundredths. This isn't so bad. This is not too hard, okay? So let's look here. We have 17%. And we either have to make it out of tenths and hundredths out of 100. Now, hundredths is like saying your little units. And this is your tenths, okay? So let's look here. You know, so we have 110 and we've got 7 units there. Okay, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. 110 and 7 units there. Okay, so it's like looking at tenths and hundredths. 1/10 and 107 units. So 1/10 and 7 out of 100. That's what it looks like. Okay, I'll do another one for you just to be sure. So here we have 29%, and they're asking us to make it into tenths and hundredths. Okay, so think of it like tens and units. So here we have our tenths and our hundredths. Remember we learned those when we were doing our decimals. So here we go. How many hundredths have we? We have 9. And how many tenths have we? We have 10. Or we have 2, sorry, 2. Okay. So it's like, think of our tens and units. That's the easiest way to think of it when you think of tenths and hundredths. All right. Okay. I'm going to let you at that one. And then we're going to go down. For anyone who gets that finished, I want you to go down to the next part. And it says, find a percentage of a number by changing the percentage to a fraction first. Okay. Right. We're going to find out. We can find a percentage of a number by changing the percentage to a fraction first. So what does that really mean? Let's look at the question. So here it says, let's look at the sample. Jimmy drank 30% of the litre carton of milk after a race. So he drank 30%, which we know is equal to 30 over 100. And it's also equal to 3/10. We can break it in. We know now that we can break those into those different kinds of fractions. 3/10 or 30 over 100. 10/10 is equal to 1,000 millilitres. 1/10 then we would work out would be able to be 100 millilitres. So 3/10 is equal to 300 millilitres. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Sally spent 75% of her €12 buying a cinema ticket. It cost 75%. So let's break that down into a fraction. 75% we know means percent, which is out of 100, which is 75 over 100. And when we divide that down to simplify it, it becomes 3/4. So 75 over 100 will always be 3/4. And 75% is always equal to 3/4. Right, so find 3/4 of 12. Right, so we know that find 3/4 of 12. Okay, so we know that 4/4 is 12. 1/4 therefore is 12 divided by 4, which is 3. And 3/4 is equal to 9. Okay, so we've worked out what 3/4 is. Same goes for here. I'm going to do this one. 90% of 10. And then I'm going to leave you off with as much as you can do yourself. Okay, so 90% of 10. Okay, so let's go look. Let's work this out now. So we know that 90% is also 90 over 100. We know that because percent means over 100. Now we're going to simplify that fraction, make it easier. So we're going to divide by a number that goes into both of them. Now, 10 goes into both of them, doesn't it? So we're going to divide by 10. All right. So that's going to leave us with 90 divided by 10 equals 9. 100 divided by 10 equals 10. All right. So 9/10 is our number, right? So 9/10. We know that 10/10 is equal to 10. So 1/10. Okay. We know 10/10 is equal to 10. We know if we had a chocolate bar and it had 10 little things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know 10/10 is 10. We know 1/10 is equal to 1 because we divided 10 by 10. All right. So what do you think 9/10 would be equal to? You have it. 9/10 would be equal to 9. So 1/10 is 10, or 1/10 is 1, 9/10 is 9. Okay, try those, see how you get on. Again, if you have any problems with it, we'll talk about it when we get on to Zoom. Okay, give that a go. And then in the next one, question 7, it says, there are 40 children in a youth club. How many of them do each of the following if 25% cycle to the club? So 25% of 40 is what you're trying to find out. Okay, so 20, right? Oh, it's always very useful to write down your sum. 25% of 40, right? Okay, so let's work out our fraction first. 25%, which is over 100. Let's simplify it down. Okay, let's see how we're going to simplify it down. So 25 over 100. What goes into that and what goes into that the same? Right, so 25 actually goes into 100. So we're going to divide by 25. What I do to the top, I must do to the bottom. Okay, 100 divided by 25 equals 4. 25 divided by 25 equals 1. So 1/4 of 40 cycle to the club, right? So 1/4. We need to find 1/4, right? We're not sure what it is, right? 4 quarters, the whole amount, is 40. We know that, don't we? We know that the total amount of the kids going to the youth club is 40. So if we know 4, then 1/4 would be equal to 40 divided by 4. And the answer is... the answer is 10. Okay, so the answer is 10. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Okay, so 1/4 of the children cycle to school, and that is 10 of the children. Okay, try those out, guys. See how you get on. You just find, first of all, find your fraction, which is your hundredths, and you simplify it, make it smaller. And then you say if 4/4 of it is 40, for instance, then 1/4 of it would be 40 divided by 4. The answer is 10, and quarter is equal to 10. All right, give it a go. Talk to you soon. Thanks very much. Bye.